Honor to the Most High Yah by way of YAHUAH HaMashiach this day. John 5 and 39. Be brief. We'll be brief. Go take a bath then. Search the scriptures, for in them you think you have eternal life, and they are they which testify of me. And you will not come to me that you might have life. I receive not honor from men, but I know you. That you have not the love of Elohim in you. I come in my Abba's name, and you receive me not. If another shall come in his own name, him you will receive. How can you believe which receive honor one of another, and seek not the honor that come from Elohim only? Do not think that I will accuse you to Abba. There is one that accuses you, even Moses, in whom you trust. Hello.
Yeah, that's bad.
For had you believed Moses, you would have believed me, for he wrote of me. But if you believe not his writings, how shall you believe my words? Let's take ourselves to Leviticus 19 and 15. What, Abigail? Yes, little baby. Little baby. You're a little baby. A little baby. Where's the Abigail? Stop, Gail. It ain't funny. Bubba. Stop. Little bubba. Leviticus 19 and 15 says, you shall do no unrighteousness in judgment. Thou shalt not respect the person of the poor, nor honor the person of the mighty, but in righteousness shalt thou judge thy neighbor. So, he says you should do no unrighteousness. The word for unrighteousness in this verse is a veil. It is a wrong or violent deeds or injustice or iniquity, period. So when you're looking at doing judgment, you can do no wrong in judgment whatsoever. Now, when we look at, it's two words. For judgment is Mishphat, and for judge is Shaphat in the sentence. And we're going to be looking at in the verse, and we're going to be looking at both words. When we look at Mishphat, we have the mean, we have the shan, we have the pay, and we have the tet. When we look at Shaphat, we have the shan, we have the pay, and we have the tet. So when we look at Mishphat and we looking at you can do no unrighteous, no injustice or wrong in judgment. What we get from Mishphat, because we have the meme, so we have chaos. We have the shan, so we have destroy. We have pay, so we have words, commands, or mouth. And with the tet, we have contain. So what this meaning is that you must destroy. Follow me now. You must destroy the words that contain chaos or sin. So when you're judging, you must destroy sin. Period. When we look at this here, when we talk about judging, this is not in the regards of condemning someone, so to speak. Not when you talk about doing judgment. When you're talking about doing judgment, you're talking about destroying sin. Now the meaning for Mishphat itself is to do judgment, justice, or an ordinance, or deciding a case. Also execution of judgment, sentence or decision of judgment, right, privilege, or proper or fitting custom or manner. So when we look at Mishphat, we're more so of dealing with what is right and what is wrong. Now when you're dealing with Shaphat, see, that's a little different. Because on that one there, we look at consuming, the mouth, and I believe secret, but I need to double check that to make sure that's correct. So when we look at Shaphat, it means to govern or to vindicate or to punish or to act as a lawgiver or judge, to decide a controversy or to execute judgment in and of itself. So judge and judgment are two different things. See, when you're judging, when you are actually judging, that's where condemnation come into play. when you're actually judging. When you're executing judgment, you are destroying the things that contain sin. See, there's a difference between the two. When we look at tet, we have basket and surround and contain and to give in secrecy, or the snake or generosity. So for this one here, I'd say that we would take that the words will destroy the serpent. So when you judge, you have to destroy, your words going to have to destroy or condemn the wicked. When you talk about Mishphat. Hold on 1 second, y'all. Give me 1 second. So let's continue on and let's look at Mishphat, and let's look at Genesis chapter 18 and verse 15. I'm glad that you cleansed yourself, sir. I'm happy for you. I think everyone else is as well. Genesis 18 to 15. Oh, goodness. Man, golly. We training pages, man. Then Sarah denied, saying, I laughed not, for she was afraid. He said, Nay, but thou did laugh. The men rose up from thence and looked toward Sodom. Abraham went with them to bring them on the way. And Yahuwah said, Shall I hide from Abraham that thing which I do? Seeing that Abraham shall surely become a great and mighty nation, and all the nations of the earth shall be baruched in him. For I know him, that he will command his children and his household after him, and they shall keep the way of Yahuwah to do justice and judgment, that Yahuwah may bring upon Abraham that which he hath spoken of him. So again, when we look at judgment in this verse, and we're going to grab a couple examples of what we're talking about, and we're going to go our way. We have Mishphat again. So remember, this is the meme, this is the Shan, this is the pay, this is the tet. This is the ability to decide a case, to know what is right. So we're talking about destroying the commands that contain sin. Let's look at this. Let's look at an example of that. Genesis. Because he said he'll teach his household justice and judgment after him, and they will keep the way of Yahuwah. So let's look at somebody from his household that kept the way after him. Genesis chapter 40. My apologies. Genesis chapter 39, verse 1. Let's look at an example of his descendant keeping the way of justice and judgment after him, who destroyed the words that contain sin. That is what judgment is about. This is why people don't like it. Basically, when you talk about because remember he said, do not do any unrighteousness in judgment. So that means you should not do any injustice when it comes down to deciding what is right and what is wrong. Period. Especially if you're executing it between two people, because now you're talking about you're rendering a decision. Remember, judgment and judge are two different things, two different words, because Shaphat is the root word for Mishphat. Joseph was brought down to Mizraim of Potiphar, an officer of Pharaoh, the captain of the guard, an Egyptian. Brought him by the hands of the Ishmaelites, which had brought him down thither. And Yahuwah was with Joseph, and he was a prosperous man, and he was in the house of his master the Egyptian. And his master saw that Yahuwah was with him, and that Yahuwah made all that he did to prosper in his hand. Joseph found Con in his sight, and he served him, and he made him an overseer over his house, and all that he put into his hand. It came to pass from the time that he made him an overseer in his house, and over all that he had, that Yahuwah baruched the Egyptian's house for Joseph's sake. The blessing of Yahuwah was upon all that he had in the house and in the field. He left all that he had in Joseph's hand. He knew not all he had, save the bread which he did eat. And Joseph was a goodly person and well favored. It came to pass after these things that his master's wife cast her eyes upon Joseph, and she said, Lie with me. But he refused. and said unto his master's wife, Behold, my master wot not what is with me in the house, and he hath committed all that he have in my hand. There is none greater in this house than I. Neither have he kept back anything from me but thee, because thou art his wife. How then can I do this great wickedness and sin against Elohim? And it came to pass as she spake to Joseph day by day, that he hearkened not unto her to lie by her or to be with her. So not only, now look at this here, right? She just didn't make this proposition and then it was over. She came at him daily, and he continually executed judgment. Because look at his statement. His statement was clear. How can I do this great wickedness and sin against Elohim? How can I do that? See, when you look at that judgment, you are destroying the commands, the words, the thoughts of sin. Period. This is why a lot of individuals cannot judge, because they don't even really understand what it's meaning if you're going to judge. See, he executed judgment. You got to remember what the law said. The law said that he would teach his household justice and judgment. Clearly, Joseph is a part of his household that was after him, because that's exactly what the law said, that he would teach his household justice and judgment, and they would do, and that they would know the way of Yahuwah. When we look at sin in this particular verse, it is kata. So we know in that you got to miss the way, to go wrong, to incur guilt, to miss the goal or the path, to miss the mark. But the main key point we'll look at is miss the path. And then when you got kata, we see that this will cause us to be separated from that covenant. For lack of, just to keep it very simple, when you sin, it separates you from the covenant. And clearly it's because you're not judging, because you're not destroying the words or the commands of chaos or sin. So he did not want to be separated from his Elohim at this particular point. That's what you have to sit back and look at. The lack of ability to judge will cause you to be separated from Elohim. That is what's going to happen. Well, it said exactly the ability to execute judgment. Let me not say judge. To execute judgment. Because executing judgment is knowing right from wrong and destroying what is wrong. Period. Or the words or commands of what is wrong. When we're talking about judging, which we're not going to go into great detail to judge, now you're talking about condemnation. Now you're talking about deciding a controversy. And that's something totally different. Because at that point, then you have to destroy the serpent or to destroy the wicked. That is the purpose of judging. That's why he said we judge you. You judge someone, now it's another different